You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Well, Powermente, your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, we're talking another indie, baby. Heck yes, we have another amazing independent creator. He is a writer. He has a live project right now on Kickstarter with very little to go. And we need your help, all right? I mean, it is funded, but we got to fund more, all right? We got to unlock some new tiers. We got to make this happen. Let me introduce this future star in the making, the one, the only, Mr. Ray Jamison. What's poppin'? How you doing?
Life is good, man. I'm having a lot of fun running this Kickstarter. Like you said, it's already funded, and I'm just happy to talk about this cool story that's been over a decade in the making now.
A decade? Oh, we're going to talk about this. So, I like to reel it back just a tad. When folks get a little bit familiar with who you are as a creator, let us know where you are originally from. And most importantly, what is the first thing in fandom that you ever fell in love with?
Okay, so that's actually an easy way to put that origin story together. So I was born in Hamilton, Ontario. I'm a Canadian. Right. And over the course of 2.5 decades, I moved amongst 3 different provinces. So I don't know if we'll go as far as Texas big, but there's a lot of real estate up here in the north. Before I can remember, I've been a fan of comics. Thanks to early influences, I have a brother who's 5 years older than me. He loved things like the Hulk, Spider-Man, and his amazing friends. He had a lot of cool references to that. Now, of course, there's other cool Hasbro iconic things. We have He-Man, G.I. Joe, Undercats. I personally, one of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid, one of my earliest ones was Brave Star, which is a Western out in outer space. And that one, I was just, I still have, I hold that one really, really close. I have a big affinity to it. But in regards to comics specific, in the 80s, that was that smart move by people in the toy industry and in the comic industry and in the cartoon industry. We had this beautiful union of you like the toys, watch the cartoon. You like the cartoon, read the comic. You like the comic, look, there's ads of the cartoon and the toys and the comic and more and so forth. And there was this really cool network in that era that I heavily appreciated. I've said this on other streams, but when I went through elementary school, especially the earlier years, where I was from, not too many people enjoyed comic books. They looked down on them. They thought that was kind of nerdy. And I'm sure everybody on the schoolyard at one form or another have always tried to show how they're mature. So where I was from, one way of showing you were mature was looking down on comic books and superheroes of that era. Now, I was very fortunate being born in the early mid-'80s and going through the 90s. People were gradually won over by the superhero community. For example, in my opinion, from my own experience, it began with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in Batman the Animated Series. And then obviously what is now resurrected as X-Men 97. I wasn't a big fan of Spider-Man the Animated Series. I felt the story was too butchered, but that's me being elitist. I mean, it won people over, and I respect it for that reason. And there was other cool cartoons, but those are the big ones. And eventually it got on the silver screen. It got onto Blade in 98, which was a big statement at its time. It was, I think the main reason that many people were won over, despite it being a comic character, is most people walked into that story, into that movie, not knowing it was a comic book, just Wesley Snipes, action, vampires, and people said, shut up and take my money.
Yeah, I mean, there's Wesley Snipes in his prime, too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So everything was the perfect timing. And again,
Storm.
And a very unknown Marvel character as well.
Yes, that had a lot going on for it. It was all under the radar. And then things like Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart in X-Men of 2000. And then obviously the big springboard in 2002 with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. We've come a long way from what I viewed the public as looking at superheroes to what people now openly mainstream think quite highly of. If you don't even like it, you respect it for its success alone. And I was a big fan of these genres. As I said earlier, I had to move to different provinces. So when I was in my late 20s, I decided to play some tabletop RPG or Dungeons and Dragons in specific with friends from back home. And the way we played it is we set up webcams. We had a board set up. They told me where to move their pieces. They rolled their own dice on honor system.
Okay.
And instead of using modules, as is the tradition, I use what they call a homebrew. In other words, all of the lore, all of the characters, they're all my own thing. I didn't get it from all of the creatures. They're all, we'll just say non-copyright, just because I just wanted to make up my own stuff. Fast forward the clock another 10 years, and I look back at that story that we all made together, and because of my contacts, I dabbled in the idea of turning it into a comic book. So the main difference between the game we played over a decade ago now compared to this book, the Madcaps, the main difference is the players' characters were removed, and I wrote in my own characters. So basically, I just wanted the story to flow a little bit better, and I've had a lot of positive feedback, and I'm really flattered at the amount of support from the indie community. It is really cool to see all of the positive critique, and not like fake, like it was good or good for you. Like, I really like this. This here seems weak, but I don't know. And it drives me to ask this question. And it's everybody, for the most part, wants everybody else to do better. I'm really happy.
They do. Yeah, we can't listen to the trolls on the net, that cause drama or do bullshit. Or, people that like to stir the pot a little bit too much. I'm like, no. Let's just keep united. Let's help one another. And that's that. If you got beef with somebody, be people, do it on the DMs, not in public. Don't be an asshole. Anyway.
I hear you. Yeah, no, that's right. There's not enough time in the world to be focusing on nonsense.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these creators that beef about not working, for example, then they're beefing online. So you have time to beef, but not time to work. All right.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying, folks. You know what I mean? Get to work like Ray is getting work done. All right. So you said, all right. So you had the idea. I said maybe in comics. You've never done a comic before.
Correct. I loved comics. I'm longtime fan, first time writer in this case.
Look at that. All right. So what steps did you take to even learn on what to do?
Okay, so a little bit of backtrack. My love for comics, I love to draw. I've never been in a position to focus on that hobby, and I've never been in a position where I could make money off of it. I never had that chance. Not complaining, of course, but in my childhood, I liked comics so much that my parents found a comic course in a little tiny city called Dundas in Ontario, and I used to go there once a week. I took it twice. And it would teach you about origins, names, powers, laying out a paneling on a page, laying out the sequential, laying out the pencil, then the ink, erasing the pencil, coloring it, and bam, making your own comic book. And I very much enjoyed that. Wow. So in regards to the fundamentals, at a very basic level, I understood it. 2 years back, I have multiple projects that I kick around. I'll put them on the shelf, not think about them for a while, bring them back, put a new set of eyes on it. And one thing I'm working on again, off again, is a board game. And after game testing, I concluded that I was at a point where I wanted artwork. And I wanted the art to look like a comic book. So I live in Winnipeg now. I looked up a local Winnipeg comic artist, by the name of Evan Quiring. Shout out to Evan. He actually has a Kickstarter on right now for his fourth issue rather, of Murder City Devil. He also does a cool one called Lucha Mysteries, but definitely have his stuff a look. Originally, he was making art for my board game, and I said, you know what? I've been kicking around the idea for a comic. Would you be interested? And at the time, he was looking for work, and he decided to take it on. So he did all the interiors. That was a really cool experience because for me, I hear about that communication, that glue between a writer and the artist and how it's presented, how the sequences go, the perspectives, the angles. I was worried about being far too controlling on it. So what I did is I went really ironically heavily into detail and then disclaimed at the end, I trust your instincts. So if you feel there's something that maybe this panel will look better as 2, or rather these 2 panels will look better as 1, or I liked your idea with this panel, but I took it from a different perspective to make it more dynamic. So after that disclaimer, I showed him what I had. I had every panel described. I had I took a whiteboard and I drew out each page stickman style. And I said, I'm thinking of something like this, but again, disclaimer, I trust your instincts. So don't feel like I'm confining you. I just want to make sure I have a rough idea of what I'm trying to communicate to you. And once he looked through and then images back and forth, eventually I had fully inked pages. And it was really cool because this is characters I've created, and the image, the design, the look. I used different references for how one's armor could look or how one's axe should be shaped, that kind of thing. And once I hit that point, my next step is, well, I've got to color it. So for coloring, I say accidental. Like I just look on social media at artist work, and sometimes they're available. And if you ask, the worst thing you're going to get is a no. So some pros I ask, I get a no problem. I got a yes, but from all people, but a fella named Dan Kemp, he's colored over 100 issues of Spawn, basically 50 to 150. He was involved since the early 40s in the issues.
Okay.
And he's the second person ever to color that series. And he said yes. I was beside myself.
Oh,
I don't know why he said yes to me, but I was just in the right place at the right time. And the main cover is pencil and inked by Jimbo Salgado, and Dan colored that.
Oh, let me put that one up.
That one right there.
Look at that. Look how beautiful that is, folks. Let me look at that. Look at this beast of a drawing, the coloring, everything. Wepa. And folks, even before we keep moving forward here, we have to bring it up because we got to bring it up. I mean, it's that time we're going to talk about this. But of course, I have a trailer here. Yes, I could put it up to Kickstarter, but you know how that's a pain in the ass. And I actually was smart enough to upload it. All right, folks, check us out. There's a trailer for the Madcaps.
A brawny intellectual, a devout farmer, a good-hearted charlatan, and a social facilitator. This circle of friends shall reunite in their hometown, Ivywood. Before they can depart for employment, they are interrupted by a local drug problem, which carries sinister undertones. Can they survive the night? And what is the source of this danger? The bond amongst these friends may be the only metric to answer such questions.
Wepa, you see that, folks? You telling me that don't look fire. And the design, that's another letter of Madcaps. It looks like something you should put on the back of your neck as a tattoo.
That's true. I never considered that.
I looked at
man, that's funny.
Cool, the back of the neck right there. That looks dope. I love the feel of it, man. And it is a very pretty looking book. And first, let's go back into that wonderful looking Kickstarter. I mean, there it goes. And then he has this, oh man,
variant covers. I got 4 of them. So the main cover has all 4 characters. This is the first appearance of any of them in a comic, so I wanted each one to have their own little spotlight on a variant cover.
So introduce us. Who's the guy at top with the red cape?
That's you know what? How about we go through the variants and we'll get a more of a close up on each one.
There we go, folks.
Okay, so this image was drawn by Javier Salteres. He drew the original, the first year of Volume 2 of Ghost Rider, the Dan Ketch era when he was the writer. That was the first comic series that I went through back issues and collected like back-to-back issues. And to have that guy drawing something that I made up is a really cool thing. The person that this dwarf is based off of is actually, he turns 40 today. I don't know if he's watching, but shout out to him and happy birthday. So this fella, his name is Sarlacc Swamp Trudger. He is a dwarf, full-blooded. He comes from a clan of dwarves that left the mountain and decided to start farming. And as stubborn dwarves can be, they decided to farm in the middle of the swamplands.
Huh.
Because of this, they learned very quickly how to protect, not just till their lands. And there's lots of monsters that go bump in the night. His culture is really good at tracking down and pacifying these creatures. He has a very devout... What's that?
Word you said pacifying. You mean unliving them.
Yes, unliving the unliving. But he worships something known as the divine, and he's very devout to his beliefs. He doesn't impose them on others, but in his late adolescence, he felt a calling to travel to this town called Ivywood, as mentioned in the trailer. And he built a humble church there. And again, he doesn't impose his beliefs on anybody, but he tries to reflect what he believes, and he tries to reflect through his actions and basically help those less fortunate. The bigger the city, usually the darker the cracks, as I like to say. There's usually issues that people need help, usually. He's really good at helping people inside the city walls, and he's really good at defending outside the city walls. There are times when there may be a mystery or a random monster, and he'll venture out and try to solve the problem himself sometimes. That lovely axe he's holding is actually a holy weapon, and it's very potent against the undead. And in the comic, at the start, these guys get like ambushed by an undead outbreak. He's in his common clothes. He's not even wearing that. He has a hatchet tucked in his belt. So he's exchanging blows with monsters with just a little handheld hatchet. And he's barely surpassing 4 feet in height, but he holds his own. It's kind of enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I had a friend like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Short little guy, but what a mouth on him.
Yeah. So this image here, this is hand painted. This is by John Zalesnik.
Wow. And
John Zalesnik is responsible for the cartridge art of Shinobi for the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
How are you getting these guys? My God.
I just asked.
Where's my broom?
Your broom.
Yeah, man, because you're dropping names. I got to start sweeping up.
I like that. He's also responsible for painting a lot of video game art in the 90s. In the 80s, he did a lot of like metal album covers, and he's done a lot of Magic the Gathering and Warhammer as well. And that fella there, his name is Madrakis Darthual. He's over 6.5 feet tall. He's a very imposing individual. He doesn't know too much about his background. He was hatched as an egg and raised by humans. He clears 350 pounds, so he's thick individual. And he hails from a creature known as the Great Stormworm, which is like a giant kaiju electric eel, if you will.
Okay. Because
of that one byproduct, he's able to store up lightning in his gizzard and like vomit it out later.
Oh, damn.
A Godzilla or a Shoot to Whoop, if you remember that meme from almost 20 years ago. I'm a firing my laser, and he vomits. The most intimidating thing about this guy is actually his intelligence. He has a big affinity towards the arcane, and he actually dabbles in casting spells. He originally lived in Ivywood, and you learn very early. He's one of the people returning right at the start of the story. He doesn't want to be there. So he has a lot of issue with the locals. Being such a large individual, in a city that's predominantly human and, more importantly, orc. Madrakis was used as kind of a metric of if you're a tough enough guy to be in the city kind of thing. He left once he was self-sufficient because he just didn't like the headache, so he could focus more on his studies. So although you see him with this sword and ceremonial armor based off of his culture, the little he does know, he's not a fighter. He swings a sword hard, like it's going to hurt you if you hit, but he is not a skillful fighter, and it's mostly for looks. It's mostly he takes pride in the little he does know about himself. Right on. That was Chris. Is that Chris Cash?
Chris Crash.
Chris Crash. My apologies. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. This image here, this is a fella named Dunanini. He's actually a half dwarf. He has a mother who's a gnome.
So he's a half dwarf.
Half dwarf, half gnome. Hence, that's why he doesn't have a beard. Now, he unlike his mother, who has natural arcane influence on nature, essentially, he doesn't have that ability, but over time, he's found out he can actually manipulate metals and crystalline structures. So you see that tube over top of his shoulder. That is basically, it's a contraption, and it's rigged up from a telescope, and it can actually blast raw concussive arcana out of it. Kind of like War Machine's shoulder cannon, but think more blast instead of rapid fire bullets.
Gotcha.
You can see the glowing smithing hammer in his hand. He can heat up metal, and if you look in the foreground there, you can see that's what's left of a tree. That's what he shot. You can see the expression on his face. This was done by Jenna Stark, and I told her I wanted the expression on his face to be equal parts. I can't believe that worked, and I can't believe I'm still alive, because he didn't know what that cannon was going to do.
Especially that close to your head.
Yes, exactly. But it ended up being a great product. That's digitally. She did it like a painterly style to emulate brushstroke. Yeah, it's a really nice piece. I love the lighting. But he's a big fan, and he's a big fan of others. Usually, his goals revolve around working with or helping others, or upgrading or supporting others. He's very friend oriented. He's referred to, as you saw in the trailer, a social facilitator. And he's just under 4 feet in height. He's the shortest of all four of them. And it's kind of funny to me seeing this tiny guy being able to just reduce a tree to splinters. I just find that amusing, to be honest.
You got to take care of yourself somehow.
That's right. So this is Chasgo Blundale. He's actually a blue-skinned elf. Now, in our reality, humans, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, humans that consume a lot of silver, their skin actually gets tattooed blue. You ever hear that before?
No.
You can look it up on YouTube. There's a guy, he was actually on Oprah. His hair is white. The whites of his eyes and all of his skin is all blue. He looks like Papa Smurf, basically. Oh, crap. It's an actual thing. People have like people believe that they have illnesses. They can eat silver and it will help them out. Yeah, he recently passed away. Many think it was because of the silver consumption. Well, this elf here, Chasgo, his people live up in a remote mountain range that has heavy silver deposits in it. And over the generations, all those elves have blue skin for a similar reason. And a cool byproduct, because he has all this silver flowing through his veins, he actually has a high resistance to magic. Oh. Now, his people are considered xenophobic. They don't want anything to do with outsiders. He viewed his people, his family and his people, as more or less dysfunctional. So he wanted to leave, but everybody's terrified of these elves. These type of elves are referred to as Argers. Mages won't go near them. Mercenaries steer clear of that area, and kids make up scary bedtime stories based off of Argers. So he's in a tough position. It's not like he can leave his people. One day he was approached by a being known as Annette, and she gave him some magical gifts, and the intention was she wanted him to be her champion, and she wanted to do two things: find a place for Argers to leave, and then convince Argers to leave. So he entered Ivywood with the magical ability to look human. over time, he's worked his way up. He actually is a representative of a noble, which is kind of dangerous if you think about it, because if he was ever exploited, that would be a lot of trouble. Actually, in the right at the start of the comic, when this undead outbreak happens, he actually can't help because it will compromise this fake persona that he's developed. He can't help his friends, so he actually runs and tries to get help. Erica Hollis from Chicago made this picture, and basically I wanted it to look like he was turning on his human disguise as entering a lit room, and she took it the next step, and she made it look like it was the shadow that was keeping his elf appearance, and as he entered the room, the shadow would disappear. I thought that was a cool little addition. One of the things I like about Chazgo in particular is everybody has something about themselves they would not use for first impressions, because you don't know if the other person would necessarily like that. Like let's say just something about themselves. Wasn't there a story about some kids that emerged with blue skin? They were speaking a different language.
I think Chris Crash must have had a nightmare about an alien invasion.
I think I know the story he's talking about. There's like a mountain group. They have a lot of blue skin for a similar reason. It might be that same story.
It's the aliens. They're here, but Avatar.
yeah. The Navi, I think they're called. Yeah.
There we go. It's a wrap for us.
But yeah, Chazgo is an interesting character because I know a lot of people can really relate to hiding a part of themselves almost for fear. And he is, he'd easily get put to death if he was discovered. The only people that know his true identity, true colors, no pun intended, is the three other characters from this story. So here you have the interiors as you're showing. I have the first 3 pages there. Dan Kemp and Evan Quiring combo. The coloring is just so vibrant. The story, all 3 of these issues take place over one night. So you can see on that first page, you can see the sun going down. By the end of it, the sun may be coming up. We'll see how much of a happy ending this is. But you can see both Dunnan and Madrakis just entering Ivywood. You can see right in the bottom 2 panels, the guard asks for their names. Madrakis is reluctant. As soon as he says his name, if you go to the next page, you'll see the look on the guards' faces. And then Madrakis rather says, Ivywood's charges on me were dropped. And then he just kind of, okay, well, I guess we'll behave.
No problem.
I want to get in trouble for like excessive force or something. By the bottom of the page, they're just discussing, okay, let's split up, get our friends, and we'll get out of town.
Yeah, kudos to your letterer, man.
Oh, yes. You know what? I'm
looking at that, and again, I always look at the placement of the word bubbles. Again,
yes.
Art allows you to, appreciate and eat up that art,
So shout out to Micah Myers. I don't know why I didn't say him earlier. He was my letterer. He's 2 times Ringo nominated, and his work speaks for himself. So the last 2 interiors here, they're not in order. I just wanted to make sure some action was shown. You can see that's where the outbreak just starts. And then you can actually see Chazgo with his human disguise on. He's running away from the action.
Because I'm out of here.
And there's Madrakis vomiting out lightning to kill off some creatures.
And I do have another video that you sent me. It's called Interrogation.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, okay, folks, check this out. Check this out before we continue and start knowing how much you're going to have to, want to. Because you're going to want to support this first time independent creator with this dope project. Check out this other video snippet in Interrogation.
Would you be able to tell me where you were going to pick up this fresh stuff? No way, man. Save many lives, I'd rather die. Oi! Death is a privilege which you will not be getting today. Are you crazy? Go for a walk. I can't heal everything our large friend deal out to you. You can either talk to our dwarven friend here, or you can talk to me. The dwarf!
Man, homie is damn vicious. I want to die. I thought he really killed him. He just went for it. Like, toma. Like, oh my God, bro.
So it's hard to see, but right at the start, that very first panel you see, Sarlacc is speaking nicely to this fella to try and talk him over. What's happening in that scene is after the undead outbreak, Sarlacc starts to make a connection. There's no exact link, but somehow there's an involvement between the undead and a local drug problem. So this fella they track down, he's actually what we considered, I guess, a junkie. And the junkie mentions getting some fresh stuff. So he's like, how about you tell us where you could save some lives here? But in the back of that panel, you see Chazgo and Madrakis, rather, kind of making a plan. And they did this whole weird good cop, bad cop, killer cop thing. And by the end of it, he wanted to go right back to the dwarf and talk, which was very successful, using his appearance that everybody's scared
Good cop, bad cop, and worst cop, apparently.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Holy shit. Oh, man. And look how he looks here, too. I love it.
Yeah, that's Jay Sloan's concept art. We just unlocked that in a stretch goal. All of his concept art, 1 page per character, and complete with bios, abilities, all their stats, and everything that makes them leading up to the start of the comic book. You can see Dunnan, there's Madrakis there.
Wow.
I think Jay did a terrific job. There's Sarlacc.
Good. Oh, yeah. Holy smokes. Dope. And folks, let me show you over here really quickly. Right? Here's again where we're at. A big salute to you 65 backers.
Thank you.
Hours to go of a $500 goal. They're at 1644. 49 hours to go. We got to do more. And a big shout out to Filbo Publishing.
Yes, Philip Rustard of Filbo Publishing.
Okay, so who's Filbo?
So Filbo is what Philip Rustard's wife calls him because of his big hairy feet. He likes to go to the ring. So Bilbo, or Filbo in this case. That's the story I'm told.
Oh, man. I dig it. And how did you wind up working with this publisher?
Again, I just found people online and started saying, what do you think of this image I've been working on? What do you think of that? Eventually, Philip Rustard, I said, could I get your opinion on the script for all 3 issues? He read it over, he liked it, and eventually he offered to take me on. And
nice.
I couldn't be any more grateful for this chance, this opportunity. A lot of the exposure is through his publishing. He has some great stories. He's got a good one. You know what? If we scroll to the bottom, I just want to give him a respectable shout out here. Keep going there, right? A little bit more. The very next image you see. So Light Warriors, I don't know. There's 2 I really want to highlight. I really like. There's Apollo on the next one. Papa, that one right there. This story is a 5-issue graphic novel. It is all coming out at once. Philip Rustard was trying to make a book. It's an homage to his father.
Okay. And
his father passed away before he could finish this. His goal was to get this book in his dying father's hands, but he didn't get that chance, unfortunately. I've read the script to this book. I have a review on my Facebook page. He is putting this, I'm telling you, this one, you have no idea what's about to happen. And the most frustrating thing, and I mean this in a good way, the story is so intertwined with itself, I can't talk too much about it without spoiling the whole damn thing. It is definitely worth seeing when it finally comes out. Well, and the last one I'll talk about for him to talk him up a bit is this one here, Arcane Syndicate. Imagine Universal Hollywood movie monsters combined with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's a government agency that has Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Phantom of the Opera that's got a magic keyboard. It's kind of like a bard, as they'd say in D&D. The Invisible Man, who's kind of like a double agent. The Dracula, as you can see here, there's 3 individuals fighting over who they all think they're the true Dracula. So there's the cliche Dracula. I shouldn't say cliche, but your most iconic Dracula. This would be the kind that Bela Lugosi would be portraying. The one on the left there is Vlad the Impaler. And then the one on the right there, that's Nosferatu. and they're all very different, but they all believe they are Dracula essentially, and they have apparently there's a big war coming out amongst these guys. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Filbo Publishing. These guys have given me a big chance here, and as you can see, they've been playing this game for a bit, and they know how to play the game. And you're going to definitely want to buy into these stories.
You know what? This is the first time, thanks to you, I've heard of Filbo. I'm very happy because this one right here, geez, dude, you're killing me right there. Ooh, right on my alley. But this sounds very interesting. I like that how you said that. If you tell me anything, you've told me too much. Then you might have to kill me.
So going to the rewards, this is this story again. It's based off of D&D, so you can get your physical copy. It's at $6, but if you scroll down, there's your sketch covers, and then physical copy is $15. And then if you look down here, we have a wraparound cover. That artwork there, that is done by Sean Langley and also colored by Dan Kemp. Those guys knocked it out of the park. Now we have that in a pinup. Pardon me. We have that in a pinup, and we'll talk in a little bit. But that is a Virgin wraparound cover option.
A campaign starter set. Oh snap!
So this that's a 20-sided dice, and that's based off of the Madcaps logo, the design. And there's one miniature of each character. We 3D print them in resin, and they're printed off. They're sent to you with your physical. Anything else that you have, your comic or anything else.
You have one on you by chance?
You know what? I do. That's a good question. I should have had one ready for you. At the moment. This one here, that's Michael Towson. He's done voice acting service for Disney, Will Shatner, and others.
Oh, cool.
And he's a professional dungeon master for D&D. So we have a campaign open. It's limited to 6 individuals. It's open only to comic creators. If you buy into this, you'll be able to play as one of the characters that you have made transferred over to D&D. And the concept behind it is there's a layer of reasons, but one of the cool things is when somebody sees a creator talk about their character, you get more insight. Well, this would be 2 to 3 hours of somebody playing as their character. This is the equivalent of Frank Miller or Alan Moore reading their own book. You really get some nice insight, and everybody's going to bring their own fan base. So there's some nice cross promotion. Michael Towson also has his own fan base. It's just a really cool opportunity to jump in and get some cool exposure.
Yeah, that sounds cool as heck for sure. I mean, me learn how to play some D&D. I've never had the chance. See, you say that the comics weren't cool. I had a tribe as a kid. But the D&D thing was not a thing.
Yeah, that's the next level of nerd, right?
I didn't go to college in real life, and neither did I in my nerddom, apparently.
So we have a rule of 3, which is you can buy any 3 covers that you want.
Oh, cool.
Physical, you get a digital copy as well.
Strength in numbers.
So that's all 5, I believe. Yes,
that's everybody should get them all. You gotta have them all, like Pokemon.
Yes, and halfway through the campaign, we brought in that wraparound cover. So there's actually a 6th, and it's its own price. It's a premium cover, so it's actually separate from the rest. The full inventory, that gives you everything but the wraparound cover. It doesn't say it gives you everything, but it gives you the miniatures, the dice. You'll see there's a pinup poster there, which is just like the wraparound cover. Yeah. All 5 issues, and in the bottom right, there's a laser engraved wood paneling of the main cover.
Yo, that looks sick, bro.
The Jimbo's inks, that stuff engraved on wood, it's stainable, and it contrasts the lights and the darks even more. It really pops. It is really, really nice. It's the same size as a comic book, so it's something that you can hang on a wall, put them side to side. Thickness?
Yeah.
Thickness is approximate. Not quite a 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
Now, I'd say a little bit more than 3/16, but somewhere in that range.
Nice.
And then the add-ons, some of them specific. So the dice we've already talked about a little bit here. The miniatures, of course. There's the pinup. But for $5 more, you can get the black and white as well. Which Sean Langley, really good with his inks. the miniatures, the laser engraved wood we've talked about.
Hey, retailers, all right? Retailer alert, baby, right
In
here.
the retailer tier, and it's significantly cheaper to buy all 10 in bulk. You get a digital copy, so you'll know exactly what you're getting before it gets to you, and you can promote accordingly. Our stretch goals, we've hit. This is a map that that shows where this comic takes place. So if they're mentioning towns or stuff, you can make reference to it. We hit 1,500, and we unlocked Jay Sloan's concept art with all of the backgrounds, abilities, and stats.
That looks so sick, bro.
Jay Sloan did an excellent job with his art, and we've got one more stretch goal right there, which is when we hit 2,000,
make it happen.
You'll get a sticker set, all 4 variant covers. Each one is a sticker and virgin, so there's no title on it. It's just the art for what it is. People love the art without, or they love virgin covers, right? So this is kind of like, maybe you can't afford them all. Well, you're gonna get them in sticker form for sure, and we're really happy. I want to give back to these people accordingly.
Yeah, man, I like those virgin covers for sure. You know, get to enjoy the art without none of the trade dress. It looks beautiful.
Yes. So the main team, there's myself, and again, shout out to Evan Quiring, Dan Kemp, my colorist, and Micah Myers. He's so much a letterer, you can see on his knuckles.
He has his own fingers. He's such a much letterer.
Letterer right on his fingers. This guy is committed to his craft. He's 2-time Ringo nominated. I said to him, for selfish reasons, I'd like him to win the award off of my book, but I want him to win the award. And as you mentioned already, you really liked the lettering, and I couldn't agree more. The guy was definitely worth his. I got what I paid for. We'll put it that way. And of course, Philip Russert, my publisher. I am super.
Filbo, folks. Make sure to check out Filbo Entertainment.
Check them out. They've got a lot of cool stuff. His flagship story is called Tragedy, and it's about an Irish assassin who's lost her parents. And I've read the first 5 issues, and I did a review. You can actually look it up on my Facebook page if you go to the videos. There was a cool dynamic. There's a writer's term called four-corner opposition. And the best example of four-corner opposition is Batman Begins with Christian Bale. There's 4 different individuals, and they're sometimes fighting each other, sometimes allied. So Batman, Scarecrow, the Falcones, and Ra's al Ghul. Sometimes some of them are allies. Sometimes they turn on each other, depending on how the flow of the story goes. Politically, everybody has different wants and desires. Filbo with Tragedy, very similar style storytelling, and it's great. I'm a big fan.
I dig it. Folks, this is what it is. This is the Madcaps issue number 1, live for the next 49 hours. We got 2 days and an hour, folks. 2 days and 1 hour to make this pop up. Let's reach that next goal of 2 racks, all right? We're so close. You know, what is that? It's 264 away, right? 364 away, 364.
Yeah, right there, right in that area. That's right. You got it.
Oh, yeah, about 356.
350-ish. 350-ish.
Boom. There
yes.
we go. I'm slow on math today. All right, there we go. So 356 more to go. I think it's very, very feasible. Let's make it happen. Support independent comic books, all right? Support independent creators, especially this first time. I mean, my man, I'm telling you, dropped so many names, and the book looks gorgeous. The art looks gorgeous. He put a hell of a team. Let's make it happen as we support independent comics. Now, Ray, 2 things I need to know right before we go. First up, I know this is your first comic, but with the excitement and all building up and seeing what's going on, I mean, she is already funded. Are you planning on doing any conventions this year, or is that something you're going to hold off until you have a couple of issues up?
So 2 answers to that. The first one is I have a day job, and it's a great job. I have no intention of compromising it. There's only so many places I can go, vacation time and whatnot. But more importantly, I live out in Winnipeg. So we do have a Comic-Con here in October, and I've been there lots of times. It's great. I'm always happy to have a good time. Celebrities do come through here. I've met lots of cool celebrities. Any other cons I could go to, it's all up in the air. Now, fortunately, I do have a publisher who does go to events, so I do have some exposure there. I obviously don't want to rely on that. I'm not a fan of that person can do that for me. I like to do my part. The short answer is up in the air, and it's unknown just because of responsibilities. So
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, day jobs get in the way of fun. It's all right. It's all right.
Man, you know?
It's all right, brother. All right. And secondly, based on your journey, because you said this took it's decades of story, and only now you finally decided to say F it all, and I'm gonna put it out there and make this baby happen. What type of advice would you give to someone, also, along those lanes, if you will?
My first piece of advice is do not rush what you're trying to do, but it's like a slow sustaining push. It's not a sprint. There's a lot of responsibilities to carry. If you had hundreds of pounds across your shoulders and you could only do one trip and you had to get to a finish line, wherever that is, you're not going as fast as you can. You just need to get it there. So the story I wrote, that was years in the making. That took time. I started everything post-story. It's been 2 years, and one of the main reasons for that is financially. I wanted to make sure I had the right talent to make sure my book was worthy of the industry. I didn't want to do 60% of something and think everybody's going to know what I meant. I wanted it to actually mean what it means, kind of thing. When it comes to talent, accept no's, just ask, and if they say no, move on. Do not feel like you're bound, I need to have this person. Every artist is different, but more important, I dance on the line of controversy here. There's no two artists that are the same, but every artist is replaceable. It sounds so mean to say it that way, but if you can't get one artist, you will find another one that can do it.
There's tons of talented folks out there.
Yes.
So it's like, definitely don't set your heart on one and then get disappointed and throw it all away. There's so many other people that definitely do deserve a chance. And maybe just as talented. You never know.
Yes. And when it's all put together, if you're releasing it yourself, one of the big advantages is finishing the book before you advertise it. And the other thing is, if you're looking to go through a publisher, you can say to the publisher, this book is done. That's like a myriad of things that the publisher doesn't have to worry about going into it. So when I work with Philbo, he has, I think, 10 books, either under his name or under somebody else's name, like myself. And he said to all of the people that are making something but he has his label on it, in a very positive way, he's been honest, making sure we're up to schedule and making sure everything's released. In my case in specific, it's done. I'm one less worry on Phil's back. So
yeah, man, one less phone call, one less nudge. Hey, where's that page?
Yes.
I love that advice, and it is true. I've heard that many times before. And again, it's true. The way you can make the process easier for everyone, it's better for everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that. So folks, yes, I've been showing this off. I'll be showing you the Kickstarter. I have it in the notes below. Check out the Kickstarter from Fubo Entertainment. The Madcaps issue #1. Yeah, we got 49 hours, folks. You got to make it happen. You can follow Ray on Instagram at Raymond the VM. All right. On Instagram, I got his Facebook pages there. Yes, they're along with numbers, folks. But I made it easier for you. Just like he said, make things easier. The links are below. All you got to do is click away in the show notes. And of course, a big shout out to an amazing independent publisher that's showing some love to independent creators that I gotta start looking through their library. Fubo Entertainment. So check out FuboEntertainment.com.
Al, can I give a quick elevator pitch just over summarizing the book?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Sweet. So this book is it revolves around 4 friends and how they act because their friends are around. Sometimes your friends are a good or a bad influence on yourself, and I think every human, after they hit a certain age, there's a certain circle of friends you don't get to see anymore, and the few times you do, you're very recharged, even if it's for a short amount of time or at a restaurant. Even if it's just a fraction of how things used to be, you're very recharged after. This book is an homage to that level of camaraderie that everybody can relate to. It's just told through a fantasy style of story, through the medium of comic books. If you are backing this, you are backing a fan. I've tried to surround myself by people I have been a fan by. The only thing that's unknown, and I would love backers to tell me, is how good of a writer I am. That's the only thing I can't say. I can say the lettering's great. Al can say the lettering's great. The art, everybody is there. I've made sure that this is a quality book that you will definitely appreciate. And I promise by the third and final book, the third act, the payoff is over the top.
Woo! Tease. I'm telling you, I got to come up with a picture and put comics on the stripper pole because you're just teasing right now. Let me tell you, that's dope. You hear that, folks? That's what it is. I like that pitch right there, homie.
Thank you.
I mean, you got to self-friendship. It's true, man. You know, not many true friends out there, and those that you have, you better keep, man, especially those true ones. And
Thank you. I appreciate it.
From a comic book fan to a creator, thank you. You know, I know you're a first timer here, but just thank you for being bold and brave enough to put the stuff out there, sharing with the world. You know what I mean? If you want to review over on Comic Kids, send it out over. My boy, I know exactly who I'd give it to, which is very constructive, and he'll let you know his thoughts on your writing.
Right on.
All right, but with that, that's the mighty Ray Jamison, DM Ray. I am Al Mega. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You know what it is. Follow everything Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love. Wepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.